It's fans show up first and start believing in the program and supporting the program, then the wins will come.
Sometimes you're on the other end of it and it stings and it hurts, and we've had our share of those, and it sure is good to get them to experience the other side of it.
Well, for one weekend, it's the mighty Mississippi. Ole Miss and Mississippi State live up to the hype as each knock off a top 10 opponent. Alcorn State has control of the SWAC East Division after another dominating win. It's too little, too late for Austin Davis and the Rams. The Saints are lucky that it wasn't. The Tri-County football continues to learn from an inspirational assistant coach. Let's go.
That thing's the most annoying thing I've ever heard. I also feel like I'm the only quarterback in the nation that throws interception.
But it's a big win, but you can't let that big win slip up on you.
Pretty big statement. Mississippi State.
It's Sunday night, and Sunday night means sports night on News Channel 12. From high school to college to the pros, if it's on a court, a course, or a field, you'll find it here. Get ready for all-inclusive sports coverage you won't find anywhere else. Welcome to News Channel 12's The Sports Zone, powered by King's Daughters Medical Center. And now, your hosts, TJ Weary and Mike Alzamora.
Well, after the first week of October, it looks like the SEC West runs through Mississippi. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm TJ Weary alongside Mike Alzamora. The biggest weekend of college football to ever grace the state ends with an Ole Miss win over Alabama and an MSU win over Texas A&M.
Plus, when the newest national polls came out today, the two Magnolia State schools received the highest national ranking they've ever had together at any one point.
Well, we bring you the Associated Press Top 25, and as the Rebels and the Bulldogs in a tie for third, a tie for Ole Miss. This is the school's highest ranking since 1970, when they were also number 3. This is the Bulldogs' highest ranking ever, and this time they even received 2 first-place votes. Their previous high was number 7 in October of 1981. Now, standing in front of the Dogs and Rebs are Florida State and Auburn. So let's see how we got to this juncture of Mississippi football euphoria, starting with the Bulldogs win over Texas A&M. Tie game in the first quarter when we pick things up. Josh Robinson with a 2-yard touchdown run, his second of the quarter, and the Bulldogs led 14-7. Now, the pass defense of the Bulldogs was a concern going into this contest, but it wasn't a problem yesterday afternoon. Up 21-7, Kenny Hill picked off by Richie Brown. He had 3. The Bulldogs turned that turnover into points. Dak Prescott to De'Runnya Wilson, 9-yard touchdown. It's 28-7, and they made it look easy. The Bulldogs had defeated 2 top 10 teams in the same year for the first time in school history. State wins 48-31. Robbie Donahoe was in Starkville and has more with the Bulldogs.
TJ, Saturday here at Davis Wade Stadium wasn't just a win for the Bulldogs. Dak Prescott put it, it was a statement, a Mississippi statement. The Bulldogs are 5-0 and riding high, and the emotions were palpable after the game on Saturday. Players jumping up into the stands, all sorts of crazy screaming and yelling. It was a fun and festive atmosphere after the victory, and even Dan Mullen got a little emotional.
I remember getting here 6 years ago, and I always bring it up. I said, listen, to build a winning program, you need to sell out the fans. You got to start it. It's not win first and the fans show up. Okay, it's fans show up first and start believing in the program and supporting the program, then the wins will come. You know, and it's so rewarding. They believed me. Now, Starkville, right here, Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi, has become a hard place for teams to come play. And that is all due to our fan base. And you know what? In them believing is pretty special.
It felt like a night game the whole time. It was never a lull out there. I mean, they were always into it. And like I was telling the guy downstairs with the radio show, I mean, that we feed off that. It was all, how they want us every week to respond after a win and come out and be awesome. We want that from our fans.
We're going to win the SEC West, and that's our goal. And big games like this, knocking off an undefeated team ranked top 10, I mean, that was big for us. It's great for the state. It's great for the people in Mississippi to come out and to see football is really, I mean, it's been here, but for other people to notice that it's big time. And we, as a team, we just kind of block it off, just worry about the opponent we have in hand.
The Bulldogs now turn their attention to Auburn, a team that has gotten the best of them in the past, including last year where the Bulldogs lost inside of the last 20 seconds at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Reporting here in Starkville, Robbie Donahoe, News Channel 12 Sports.
All right, thank you very much, sir. That's right, a 2-3 matchup with Auburn in Starkville on WJTV. It's a 2:30 game right here on News Channel 12. Oh, and ESPN's College Game Day is going to go from Oxford right down to Starkville, so an easy trip. They'll be in the morning, too. The light continues to shine on Magnolia State, and this is only half of the story.
Yes, what about the festivities in Oxford? Coming into Saturday, Ole Miss had never beaten a #1 team. Bama, the top-ranked team in the coaches poll, #3 in the AP, as Katy Perry was in the house. She picked the Rebels over the Tide in game day, but she didn't like what she saw late in the first half, and neither did any Ole Miss fan, as Itavius Mathers has his face mask pulled by Cyrus Jones. No flag, however, as Mathers loses the handle. Jones scoops and scores for a 14-3 Alabama lead at the break, but the Rebels rally in the fourth, and after tying the game at 17, Channing Ward strips it on the ensuing kickoff. Kylo Moore pounces on it, and then that sets up Bo Wallace to Jalen Walton. 10-yard touchdown pass into your living room. Blocked extra point meant the Rebs were only up 6 with 2:54 to play, but after Bama drove to the Ole Miss 22, Senquez Golson picks off Blake Sims to seal the deal. The Rebels' first triumph over the Tide since 2003, a 23-17 final that unleashed an absolutely wild celebration.
I was like, wow, we just beat Alabama. I went to Jalen Walton and told him we finally did it.
It was just so much excitement, man. Just to see how far we've came as a football program, man, it just speaks volumes.
I knew we had him. As soon as we tied him, I knew that if we got the ball, we were going to drive down and score a touchdown. There was no doubt in my mind.
And for Wallace, his 3 second-half touchdowns leading the Rebels' come-from-behind effort may have finally silenced his good Bo, bad Bo critics once and for all.
That thing's the most annoying thing I've ever heard. I also feel like I'm the only quarterback in the nation that throws an interception. So, hopefully I can be good Bo the rest of the year.
He managed the game very nicely. In the second half, made some big-time plays. Man, just played so solid. And that throw, that last touchdown, that ball was right where it needed to be for us to score. So Bo played and led his team to defeat. Depends on which poll you look at, the #1 or #2 or #3 team in the country, and he deserves credit for being a big part of that.
But now that puts Ole Miss in uncharted territory, where every week going forward can dictate the fate of their season.
Right now, we just have to worry about winning the West, and I think if you win the West with this kind of the opponent you're going to play, you're going to be in that conversation, and that's all you can ask for.
We just want to show everybody that we're a different Ole Miss team than in the past. We have something special here.
From now on, let's go out there and let's hit people, win football games and make this the new normal for Ole Miss.
And I hope the recruits, see that, and I hope this game really opened their eyes to know that, hey, we're getting better and we're going to get to a point where we're going to be one of those teams every year that's going to fight for the SEC West.
But if you really want to go from good to better than good, to be relevant, you better forget this one because we're going to go play an angry team in a difficult environment next week.
And that's absolutely right as the Rebels head to College Station to take on #14 Texas A&M. The last 2 years in Oxford, the Rebels fell to the Aggies by just a field goal each time.
Johnny Manziel this time, though. When we return, a special tribute to yesterday's big wins, and we talk about what it means and what stands out with Jason Scarborough in our roundtable next.
You're watching the Sports Zone on News Channel 12, powered by King's Daughters Medical Center.
Prescott pitching it on first down at 15. And Robinson at the 30-yard line. Inside the 15 before he's pushed out. Third down and goal. Prescott in the pocket. Slings it. Prescott with 2 touchdowns running and passing. Here comes number 3 on the ground as Prescott walks right into the Heisman discussion.
Starts defensively for Alabama. Christian Jones. There's the snap. Wallace into the end zone. Touchdown, Jalen.
Well, have you pinched yourself today? Like, was that real? I think it was. It has to be. We've seen it that many times, so it's got to be real.
Man.
Born and bred Mississippi, Jason
Yes.
Scarborough. Being a born and bred Mississippi guy, how great was yesterday?
It was like Christmas, finally getting to open that Christmas present that I think Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans, we've gotten so close before to pulling off a monumental win and opening that present and seeing what's inside. And yesterday, Christmas came. You know, and now the task for both Ole Miss and Mississippi State is continuing, but man, yesterday was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Not only did both teams get a win, they did it on the same day. The national stage lived up to the hype. Just awesome. What surprised you more, Ole Miss's comeback against Alabama or Mississippi State's basically a blowout of Texas A&M?
Yeah, I think we expected Mississippi State, that offense you said on Twitter yesterday, it's a well-oiled machine, and that's probably the best tweet I saw yesterday to describe the Mississippi State offense because, man, they are clicking on all cylinders right now. So I think we expected Mississippi State to move the ball and move the ball often against a Texas A&M defense that's been suspect in the couple of years they've been in the SEC. So we expected Mississippi State to put up points against A&M. Ole Miss, you know, the history there against Alabama, you weren't sure. So for me, I was a little more impressed with Ole Miss, with all the breaks that went against them, for them to still find the moxie and to come back and win. That was impressive.
Dak for Heisman talk has got to be pretty real at this point. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
You like it?
to me, I like it. I want to see how he does. If he beats Auburn, if they beat Auburn coming up Saturday, you got to automatically put him in there. I think he's in the conversation now. I mean, what else can he do at this point? I mean, the guy's just a monster. He's a threat to run or to pass. The guy's just an offensive showcase every time he takes the field. So he's got to be in the conversation. Who do you put ahead of him?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at preseason SEC quarterbacks, you had Nick Marshall, Bo Wallace, and Dak Prescott were the preseason quarterbacks, and those are the only teams that are 2-0 in the SEC.
Yeah.
What can you say about experienced quarterbacks leading basically the three best teams in the league right now?
I know. I mean, out of all of those teams you just mentioned, the most impressive quarterback is Dak Prescott. So I think you do have to include him in the Heisman conversation. So there's a lot to be said for experience at the quarterback position, and we're seeing that pay off so far.
There's a tie for third between State and Ole Miss in the AP poll. Go figure.
You can't write this stuff. You just can't make it up.
Just go figure. But is it pretty fair? I mean, pretty fair to put those two together? I mean, would you put one over the other at this point, or is it kind of too early to tell?
I think they got it right. I know that's not what people at home want to hear. Say they're like, pick a side.
There's no controversy there.
Yeah,
I want to
no
yell at you. I want to love you. I want to hate you.
Man, there's nothing for us to disagree on, I don't think, because I think we actually agree on this. Ole Miss, they beat Alabama. Is that equivalent to Mississippi State beating LSU and Texas A&M? Because Bama has been the standard in the SEC, but A&M and LSU, those are two very good teams in the SEC West. So, does it kind of pan out and kind of, is it a wash at this point? Probably so, but you can't make this stuff up. Mississippi State and Ole Miss both tied for third. Give me a break.
Go figure. But, hey, State beats Auburn on Saturday. There's going to be a very nice conversation for
They should be number one.
Number one. Who has a better shot at running the table? I mean, I know this is the first week of October. Try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it doesn't happen around here. So who's got a better shot? Who do you think?
Right now, I'd say Mississippi State, just because they've already played LSU. They beat LSU in Baton Rouge. They just beat A&M, just ran them off the field yesterday. So who's left outside of Ole Miss and the Egg Bowl? Alabama, Arkansas? Really, only one of those teams kind of scare you if you're a State fan, and that's Alabama. Outside of that, you see Mississippi State running the table. Ole Miss still has to go to A&M next week. They still have to go to LSU. They still have to play Auburn. And you mix in Tennessee, who's just, you don't ever know what you're going to get from them in the mix. I like Mississippi State's chances better at running the table.
All right, he's Jason Scarborough, founder of the Friday Night End Zone Scoreboard app. You can download it on your iPhone or Android. He's joining us tonight. We got much more to come. We got to cover the SWAC and high school football. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It almost became a season to forget for the New Orleans Saints against the Buccaneers this afternoon.
Yes, it was an unlikely matchup of 1-3 teams, and Tampa Bay had the Saints flirting with their fourth loss of the season.
That's not good. To the Big Easy we go, where it was everything but easy for the black and gold. Even though the score was promising early on, they had to play without tight end Jimmy Graham for the most of the game. Early first quarter, Graham gets popped over the middle as he makes a catch. left the game a little later with a shoulder injury and did not return. However, without Graham, the Saints looked as if they were in control, up 6-0 in the second. A little screen pass to Pierre Thomas. Thomas looks like the Pierre of yesteryear. Some shifty moves and scores a touchdown. It's 13-0 Saints. However, the defense started to crumble again. Third quarter, 13-10. Bobby Rainey untouched as he scores. The Buccaneers scored 24 straight to go up 24-13. It's 31-20 in the fourth. New Orleans on the comeback trail. The toss to Pierre Thomas, and yesteryear Pierre shows up again. A strong run gets him his second touchdown of the game. Later, Shane Graham field goal tied it up at 31. To overtime, the Saints finish off the comeback. Kyrie Robinson, left side, and a truck stick and a game-winning touchdown. Saints win 37-31 for their second win of the season. Well, the Saints, with that win, have reached their bye week, and despite the close call today, are 2-0 at home and still have 6 left in the Dome. On the negative side, their next 7 games are all against teams with records above 500, including their opponent in 2 weeks, the Detroit Lions. That game is in Detroit.
Eli Manning had to be feeling pretty good after watching his Rebels take down Alabama yesterday. Today, his Giants hosting the Falcons. First quarter, no score. Manning's to LSU's Ruben Randall, 7-0 G-Men. Then we go to the fourth quarter, and it's 20-17. Falcons. Manning goes to another LSU product, and that's Odell Beckham, and he fights for position and comes away with a touchdown to give New York the lead. The Giants are 3-2 as they defeat Atlanta 30-20. On to Denver, where Eli's brother Peyton joined some elite company. First quarter, Manning is going to go to Demaryius Thomas for his 500 touchdown pass of his career. He's the second guy to make the club. The other, Mississippi's own Brett Favre. Manning and Thomas were just getting started, as a matter of fact. Second quarter, check this quick pass to Thomas, who makes that catch, and he's going to score again because he's just going to run down the field. Manning threw 479 yards and 4 touchdowns. Thomas got 8 passes for 226. All Broncos. Denver is 3-1, winning 41-20.
I guess you can't help but just take a couple of moments and you go down memory lane a little bit. I think I don't think there's any players still playing when I threw my first touchdown. I do think about how many people have helped me throughout my career on something like that, and I just think about how grateful I am for that help and support.
Well, earlier in the week, Rams coach Jeff Fisher names former Southern Miss QB Austin Davis the starter for the rest of the season, and that's not a bad idea if only had a defense. Down 34-7 at one point, Davis connects with Kenny Britt on a 30-yard touchdown. In the fourth quarter, it's 31-21. 5 minutes later, Davis to Brian Quick. It's a 6-point game. The Rams got the ball back one more time on 4th and 13. Davis's pass a little long, and that ends the game. The USM product threw for 375 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a 34-28 loss.
Numerous mistakes across the board, and then we came out and played a good second half, and it wasn't enough. The problem in this league is that teams are too good to play half a football game and expect to win. So super disappointed, and we just got to get back to work.
Well, when we come back to work, Jackson State falls to Prairie View, and Alcorn State blows out another SWAC team. Check it out next. Been a fantastic postseason so far for Macomb native and Royals outfielder Gerard Dyson. It started Tuesday in the wildcard game against the A's for the former Southwest Community College Bear. He stole third, down a run in the ninth, and then as he's motoring, would score on a sac fly by Norichika Aoki to tie the game, a game Kansas City would win in extra innings to move on to the division series against the Angels. In game 2 of this series, tied at 1 in the 8th inning, he makes another play, this time with his arm, catches his fly ball to center field and throws a seed to third base to get Colin Cowgill trying to advance on the play. The Royals won this game 4-1 to take a 2-0 series lead. In game 3 tonight, the Royals finished off a sweep of the Angels, beating Los Angeles 8-3 in the ALDS. Dyson came in as a pinch hitter and went 0-1. Kansas City will face Baltimore in the American League Championship Series. While the SEC West may run through the state of Mississippi at this point in the season, the SWAC East Division runs through Lorman.
Alcorn State is making it look easy right now. The Braves have picked up wins over the East Division favorites and the defending conference champions in back-to-back weeks.
Too bad. The Braves took down Southern 2 weeks ago by 40 points and brought out the whooping sticks Thursday for Alabama State. This one wasn't close either. First quarter, the Braves jump on it, taking the early lead. First quarter, Darian Ragsdale continues to crush it out there. 40-yard touchdown for the Hines and Pelahatchie product. 10-0 Braves. Final minute of the quarter now. Aaron Baker, a 1-yard run. It's 17-0 after the first quarter. These guys were the favorites. It was another dominating effort for the Braves. Ragsdale rushes for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. The East Division is all corns for the taking. Braves beat Alabama State 33-7.
Today, we got to get ready for a game next week. It's a big win, but you can't let that big win slip up on you. So you got to be ready because you got a big game next week, and we got to get ready to go.
We had a short week, Thursday night game. We came in, we had practice, I think Monday at nighttime, Sunday nighttime. We had to practice early, prepare ourselves quicker. We came out prepared well. Coach had a great game, but it seemed like everything we had worked.
Well, on paper, it doesn't get any easier because their next opponent, Grambling, is defying paper. The Tigers won once in each of the past 2 seasons, are 3-0 in conference play. This is also a year after they just forfeited a game. This game kicks off at 2 in Grambling Saturday.
Now, over to the vet where the JSU Tigers were hosting the Prairie View A&M Panthers with just over 5 minutes to go in the second. Lamonte Ivy lobs one to the pylon looking for Daniel Williams. He makes the catch for a touchdown. It's 27-17 Jackson State. Ivy threw 2 touchdowns in the first half, but that was his last of the game. Now, inside 2 minutes, Prairie View trying to cut into the lead, but Jerry Lovelock is intercepted by the Tigers' Ryan Griffin. The Tigers went into halftime leading by 10, but leave losing by 18 as Prairie View outscores JSU 31-3 in the second half, and they get their first win by the count of 48-30. What is going on with JSU? Mississippi Valley drops its 5th straight game, this time on the road to Texas Southern 20-16. The Delta Devils led 16-13 in the fourth quarter, but the Tigers scored the go-ahead touchdown with just over 5 minutes to play in the contest. But that means we've reached a game many circled on their calendars. The moment Rick Comegy was hired at Valley, the former Jackson State coach makes his return to the capital city this weekend. The Delta Devils take on the Tigers Saturday on JSU's homecoming. Kickoff is set for 2 o'clock.
It's going to be crazy. On to Tennessee. Southern Miss looking for a win as they go into their bye week visiting Middle Tennessee. Second quarter down 10-3. No pain, no gain. George Payne scores from a yard out. The point after was blocked, so it's 10-9 Blue Raiders. But one Middle Tennessee first play from scrimmage. After that, touchdown, and they score one of their own. Terry Pettis was just hanging out on the sideline. 59-yard score makes it 17-9. They led by as many as 19 in the second half and hold on for a 37-31 victory. So in 2 weeks, the Golden Eagles will visit the Mean Green of North Texas. USM is 0-2 in Conference USA play. They don't return home until October 25th when they host Louisiana Tech.
Now, here are other scores from area schools. Mississippi College fell at Shorter Thursday night, 27-14. Millsaps dropped its 3rd game of the year, falling on the road to undefeated Hendricks, 35-30 on Saturday.
All right, when we return, MRA picks up a huge win over the top-ranked private school team in the state, and Tri-County tells us about the assistant coach that always finds a way to keep them looking on the bright side. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Believe it or not, we're already heading into week 8 of the high school football season. Man, time flies.
Yes, indeed. That means region play is now in full force, and every game is that much more important if you want to play beyond the first Friday in November.
Now we start to look back at week 7 at a rivalry that's been fairly one-sided the last 2 decades. Yeah, really one-sided. Unbeaten Murrah trying to knock off Madison Central for the first time since 1993, but Murrah did what they could early to make it easy for the Jaguars. First drive for the Mustangs, a snap on the punt goes over the punter's head. The Jaguars wrap them up eventually inside the 10-yard line, and Murrah would pay for its transgression. 3rd and goal, Trey Smith with NFL Films in the house. They're doing a story on his dad, Jimmy. Scores on this short touchdown run to make it 7-0. Madison to the second quarter now, 10-0 Jaguars. Murrah trying to get something going, but the Jaguars pulled away for a 52-28 victory.
Now, lots of homecomings Friday. Call her the queen of MRA. That's Tali Yost. Her Patriots hosting undefeated Starkville Academy. MRA leads 7-3 in the third, but Clinton Moses puts it on the ground. Lucky for him, the Patriots defense didn't allow the Volunteers to score on the ensuing drive. Later in the quarter, Starkville with the ball, but not for long as Blake Moore unloads on the Vols quarterback. Patriots recover the fumble and turn it into points. Hayden Davis getting some advice from his head coach, which is also his dad, and throws a strike to Nathan Barr for the touchdown. MRA wins it 17-10, handing Starkville Academy its first loss of the season.
And then let's check out our OT Spotlight. Tri-County visiting Canton Academy. The Rebels winners of the last 4 in this Madison County private school showdown. But a rough start for Tri-County. This pass in the end zone picked off by Cedric Clanton for the touchback. The Panthers would take advantage with a handoff to Tanner Tate. Runs it in for the first touchdown of the night, 7-0 Canton. Fast forward to late in the second after a long drive down the field. Gerard Anderson laterals to Quentin Wilson. It's coming up eventually. Trust me. Takes it up and over and in to make it 14-zip Panthers. They were dominant Friday, winning 35-7. Now, a head coach can make a huge difference for any football team. At the same time, a lot of help comes from the assistants. Tri-County head coach David Blunt has had success over the years, but there's one assistant Blunt has had with him over the years who's irreplaceable.
Let's go, guys. Go down, guys.
Things haven't gone as planned for Tri-County football this season. The Rebels have lost 4 straight games and are dealing with injuries to 8 players. That percentage is greater for this team considering their roster is just over 30.
You know, a couple running backs are out, my top 2 running backs, and you know, anytime you go through injuries like that, that's bad luck, but that's just part of it.
It would be easy for this team to feel sorry for itself, but there's no time for that around their assistant coach, Clay Blunt.
I blow the whistle.
Is that your favorite thing about being a coach?
Yes.
Clay, who's 31, is autistic, but has been on the sidelines with his head coach dad, David, for the past 20 years.
To every practice I've ever had, and he goes to every game, and the kids love him, and they treat him great, and he loves them, and you know, he's extremely enthusiastic. I think he's good for the kids to see.
Clay is a Tri-County icon and the Rebels' biggest fan. If anyone on this team is ever looking for an energy boost, all they have to do is talk to Clay.
Clay, he's special. I mean, everything he does, he lightens the mood at practice. If you're having a bad day, just sitting there talking to Clay for 2 or 3 minutes, I mean, he'll make you smile.
We all love Clay, man, and no matter what, he's always picking us up, man. He's really the heart of this team. He's always behind us, keeping us pushed. He's always excited, and he keeps the sidelines going.
And like a good coach, he's always coming up with new schemes and plays.
He's got all the plays on his wristband, and he's got about 15 of them in his pocket.
He has that to go with an almost always positive attitude that has rubbed off on this team and the many others before it.
Even when God gives you something that you can't handle and you have no control over, that's how you're supposed to live your life, being a good example for everybody else.
Well, Coach Blunt tells me that Clay has done a good job over the years of figuring out where and where not to stand because he's been knocked down a time or two. I think it's a dangerous sidelines, you know? When we come back, it's time for a college pick'em. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's the final block, so that means it's time to make our picks for this weekend's college games. Let's look at how I know, not when we're picking the same games. So we're 6-3 last week, so 39-12 overall.
But we both missed Bama.
This is true. We both missed that, but we both got Mississippi State. Anyway, finally, let's move to the next one. Some differences. Both taking Georgia over Missouri. Both Mississippi State over Auburn. Oh, we're running out of time. There they are. Good night.